Hello and welcome to this Tuesday's Traveling Young. We have to quickly apologize. We have been ridiculously busy, which is why we missed last week.
I still need a nap.
Work has been busy, and
it's Q4, people. Make your goals.
Work's been busy, and a lot of World Cup matches to be
There have been
watched.
a lot of World Cup.
And some personal stuff that's good, but we can't tell you just yet what it is. So stay tuned because some cool stuff happening in our personal lives that we'll tell you about soon enough. But this week we're going to talk about 5 things that Danes find strange or odd about Americans. Yeah. Strange or odd. And if this goes well, maybe later we'll do the opposite. What we find strange about Danes. But let's see how this video performs first on this Tuesday's Traveling Young. Hey, in no particular order.
No.
Number 1 or number 5 or number 2 or 3, I don't know. One of 5. Americans talking so openly about their religious beliefs.
Oh, even I think this is weird at this point. No offense.
It's me. I'm not offended.
No, I meant to other Americans. We have many friends who are very religious. I love them all dearly, but it is super awkward now to go back and hear people talk so openly about religion.
Yeah, even like politicians. I mean, to disclose your personal beliefs as a politician is not common in other parts of the world. And it's weird because when I moved here, it made me think people just aren't religious because they don't talk about it. But actually, it's more, as it should be, right? Religious. It's a personal, private thing that they keep to themselves. And most Europeans think it's strange that Americans, especially politicians, speak so openly about what they feel religiously.
I can't imagine how Danes would feel when we were first together. We went to a church one time. It was our first time there. We had signed the guest book. And before we made it home, somebody had stopped by with a mason jar of a cookie mix and said, "Thank you for visiting the church." They were lovely people. I just think that might be kind of really weird for people.
Yeah, but I like free cookies.
That's true. So. It was a nice mix.
All right, another one of the 5, again, in no particular order.
No.
Tipping at restaurants is something that most Europeans, Danes find strange when they go to the U.S.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize how little waitresses and waiter, I'm not sure if that's the right term these days, wait staff get paid. Like it's like a quarter of minimum wage, I think. So that's why tipping is so important, because you're kind of making up that gap. Yeah,
and a lot of people, when they're in the service industry in America, they're not happy when a European shows up because they assume they're not going to get tipped.
Yeah.
Or get barely tipped at all. Whereas we're accustomed to tipping 20%. Yeah. Not here, but in the U.S.
Always tip 20%.
And so it's strange for Europeans to travel to the U.S. and be like, what, I have to pay for this stuff?
Yeah, and they're like, shouldn't you just get paid more? And we're like...
but I think it's weird that we have to pay for water at restaurants. So I mean,
that is true. That is true. That's the flip side.
All right. Another thing is, so number 3-ish, the third one we're talking about.
I feel like a lot of things are going to come under this one.
Yeah. It's food related.
It's food. Just...
Yeah, the food that Americans eat, like... sugary breakfasts.
Yeah.
Like peanut butter, which is so glorious.
Peanut butter and jelly. I think I remember it wasn't even a Dane. It was our English friend, and I made a peanut butter and jelly once, and he looked at me. He was like, "Dear God, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm making a peanut butter and jelly. It's amazing."
Yeah.
And he didn't believe me.
Yeah. And things like chicken and waffles. I mean, there's so many different.
So good. My Coca-Cola ham. I describe my Coca-Cola ham to people, and they're absolutely horrified. But the people who've had it will swear up and down that it's the best thing I've ever had. So
yeah, and I mean, people like to say that American food's fatty, but I mean, I just go to a bakery here, and there's a lot of like heavy.
There's a lot of like heavy cream.
I
will say.
I think there's more fried stuff in America.
I will say there's more fried stuff, and there's a lot more like really, really sugary desserts that are. It's like icing and things.
Yeah,
like
but that exists in here. I think the difference is maybe here people indulge themselves at special times versus maybe daily. And some people might be guilty of that at times.
Sometimes you just need a Twinkie.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a Twinkie.
Ding dong.
Yeah. And so the next one on this list is very interesting because this is super cultural, which is talking to strangers, like in an elevator.
Yeah.
And so this is two pieces to this. One is talking to strangers in an elevator, let's say. And I actually see more and more Danes doing this here now. Or maybe they're not Danish, and I just think they are. And Americans typically do that. Or just saying hi to strangers on the street.
Yeah.
Actually, my friend Kira, who's been in videos before, she lives in D.C., and she says hi to people because it's like a kind of a safety mechanism. Like if you're walking
sussing people out.
Yeah, well, when you're like walking in a city like DC, which sometimes things can happen, and if you make eye contact with them and say hello in a nice way, you're probably gonna be not a target for anything to happen to you. It's a way to keep yourself safe, actually. Acknowledge somebody and say, hi, how are you doing today?
I see you.
Yeah, exactly. And then another one is just saying hello, which is like, and how are you doing today? Which is like a big thing here.
I'm trying to break myself of that because I still do it, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't stop myself from asking that. So I've tried to ask more specific questions, like what did you do over the weekend? Like that's a more specific question.
But it's a common thing. I work with a lot of French people, and they always say like how are you doing today? And they're like, good, and you? Yeah. Same thing every time.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just you got to nail the same response every time and not elaborate. I think that's the
don't go into it.
Not about elaboration is what people I think are trying to avoid.
Yes.
All right. The next thing, again in no particular order, but the fifth one that we're talking about is Danes and Europeans as a whole find it interesting and strange how large everything is in the U.S.
Everything is really big. Stores. Cars, roads, distances. I gotta say, the one great thing about like you speak cars and roads is parking spaces are bigger. Oh my god, the parking spaces are gigantic.
I wish I took a picture of this. Not only is that there's a parking space, but then there's like a double line. So there's like the space. There's like a line and then another line. So you got tons of space. So much space. When I was there last time, I was just like, oh man, I don't need to pull in and out of the space 15 times to make sure I don't get a ticket or to make sure I fit and another person can get out. I can just like go in.
And we have what I consider, honestly, a smaller, like a crossover SUV in the U.S., what would be considered a small SUV in the U.S. And this weekend we were someplace in a garage, and I don't know how many times you pulled what happened? And out to try to make it in that little tiny parking box.
We were in Odense, and so stay tuned for that video later about the Christmas markets. And I got out of my car, and this guy said to me, who was parked next to us, he's like, yeah, you know, there are hawks here. You might want to fix that because if you're not perfect, they're gonna ticket you. So then I got paranoid, and it was literally at least 8 times. And then I'm just like, whatever, I'm good enough now.
And I was behind him. I'm like, go this way.
We left.
Go this way.
When we came back, there were cars like all over the map, and I'm like, oh, they didn't have tickets. And I saw the guy walking around taking pictures of license plates to make sure that it was, they'd registered with Easy Parker or whatever, or APCOA, and he did it to a car that was like way out of the line, and he just kept going. He didn't care. So I was like, oh, that was a lot of effort for almost nothing. But so many things are bigger. Cars, as you said. Yeah, also sizes of portions of steak.
Portion sizes.
Of drinks, portion of drinks.
Oh my god.
Also, there's free refills. Oh.
I will say I do still miss the what feels like now half-gallon size thing of sweet tea that you get when you go to Cracker Barrel. It's just like so big. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, come to my house, and I brought back with me from America last time 48 packets of tea bags, which means
specialty
48 gallons of tea that can be made. And I made some at Thanksgiving, and it was a hit. And unfortunately, you can't buy like a gallon pitcher to put it in. I had to have like 3 different things to distribute my tea. I had to mix it in one thing and pour it into. It was a bit of a workout. It's a lot of work, but I did it, and I'm gonna do it 47 more times.
But it's not just any tea bag. Like these are big. Like
they're meant
square tea. They're meant to make sweet
because normally the Lipton ones are smaller, really and you have to use a couple of them.
These things are like this big. I can't make a square with my hands, but.
All right. Now, I realized while we were talking, there was one that we totally forgot. So you're going to get a bonus 6th one.
Oh. Baker's.
What?
A baker's dozen.
Half dozen? Then that would be like 6.5, I guess. It's tax, sales tax when you buy things. God,
sales tax, yeah.
Danes consider completely strange when they go to America and the price that you see is not including sales tax, and that gets added at the register.
But now even I get irritated about that. I'm
Me
just
too.
like, oh my God, really? Now I have to add I have to figure out what state I'm in and then do multiplication.
But that also makes things seem cheaper than they are because the sales tax varies in each state. And it could be a bit more if it's an expensive item that gets added when the sales tax get added later.
Just give me the higher retail value.
The price you see, not including sales tax, something people think is strange. So now we've given you 6. You give me 6 in return. I've given you a gift. Or give me 3 or just 1. Tell me, what do you think?
Don't go crazy though.
Don't go crazy.
Don't be mean.
What do you think is strange about? Yeah, don't be mean. Be nice. We've been nice. We're always nice
people.
Tell us what you think is strange about America or Americans compared to here in Denmark. We're interested to hear what you have to say. Let us know. And that is going to conclude this Tuesday's Traveling Young. And we've got a World Cup game to get back to because it, I think, started 7 minutes ago.
No, we're late.
This is what I call sacrifice.
Chop.
All right, we'll see you. Bye.
Bye.